Good day, students of nature. This is an online lecture series of Kahara Integrative Medicine Academy. I am Professor Gilbert Ezengige. In today's lecture, we will examine the healing potentials of one of the medicinal plants that farmers regard as weed. We will look at the main health benefits of Siam weed, commonly called the independence leaf. This will actually complement the lecture you have received from me on this wonderful herb, talking about its phytochemical constituents, dosages, indications, and contraindications, as well as the energetics of Siam weed. I once asked an elder man, very elderly person, why in Nigeria this plant goes by the following names: Independence leaf, Queen Elizabeth weed, Ewe Akintola, and Ewe Awolowo. And the response I got was that the plant never started flourishing so well in Nigeria as such until the year 1960 or thereabout. This plant, according to him, started flourishing massively in Nigeria during the era of the country's independence from the colonial masters. As we progress on today's lecture, please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, to like my page, and to hit the notification button so that you will regularly receive my posts and be fully updated. This medicinal plant is all over the place today in Nigeria, to the extent of almost constituting a nuisance to farmers. If a piece of land is left fallow for just a couple of months, this plant begins to grow uncontrollably, and if left unchecked, it overpowers and overgrows every other vegetation that is nearby. Perhaps that is why farmers consider independence weed as a troublesome vegetation. The Igbos chose a very appropriate name for this plant when they named it Obiarakara, meaning the plant that arrives at the scene and overpowers or subdues. Scientifically, this plant is known as Chromolina odorata, and also with the synonyms Osmia odorata and Euphorbium odoratum. Siam weed is rated very high in healing all manner of bruises, burns, wounds, and sores. It possesses all the medicinal actions required of a perfect wound healing and soothing herb. What makes Siam weed a perfect wound healing and soothing herb? Okay. Now imagine that you sustained an injury. The following may likely occur. You may experience pain at the site of the injury. There will be an inflammation and possibly swelling around the injury. Bleeding may occur at the site of the injury. You may shortly thereafter experience feverish condition as your body prepares the necessary environment to combat likely infections. Do not forget that our immune system operates better in a higher than normal body temperature. The wound is open and therefore vulnerable to all sorts of pathogenic infections. The trauma may occasionally induce spasm to the underlying muscles and tissues near the injured site. All right, now think of the possibility of having a single herb that will address nearly all the needs enumerated above. Wouldn't that be a nice and a wonderful herb to know and to have? Good. That possibility is realized with independence weed, also called Siam weed. Siam weed promises to offer you that and even much more. Let's delve a little more into all these possibilities. A. This weed combats both bacteria and fungi growth extensively, so the wound is sanitized or disinfected from harmful microorganisms. Harmful microorganisms like E. coli, Salmonella, and Staphylococcus aureus have all yielded to Siam weed therapy. I can see many eyes popping out at the mention of those dreaded names. Well, that's a bonus for you, for your followership. B. The anti-inflammatory properties of Siam weed leaf is very high, and this ensures that inflammation and swelling near the site of injury is adequately counteracted. C. Siam weed fresh leaves, talking about the juice, has static and astringent effect when applied on wound or wound spots. This simply means that it can stop or arrest bleeding. This is also the reason why patients suffering from a certain form of hematuria, that's bloody urine, benefit immensely when they consume extracts of Siam weed. I do not need to stress that only trained and licensed practitioners of herbal medicine or naturopathic medicine physicians are qualified to effectively, proficiently, and legally recommend or administer herbal medicines to their patients. All other healthcare providers or marketers who dabble into the practice of this noble art without requisite training are quacks and are capable of endangering the lives of their patients. Now, D. The fever-lowering property of Siam weed leaf is the sole reason why it is brewed as tea and consumed in feverish conditions. Same goes for its blooming white flowers. In traditional setting in Africa, the leaves are boiled together with lemongrass and mango leaves for the treatment of malaria. E. This plant is a strong topical and internal analgesic, that is pain reliever. Little wonder it also finds its application in herbal medicine practice as a nice remedy for all who suffer from arthritis, rheumatic pains, and all forms of rheumatic affections. F. Siam weed reduces spasms in the body when consumed as prescribed. This activity, in addition to its antibiotic property, explains why many people drink the tea made from Siam weed, even for cough. Now, Do you know that in Vietnam and some other countries, that an extract of Siam weed, of course, which we regard as troublesome weed here in Nigeria, is actually marketed as a veritable and efficacious skin, burns, wounds, and soft tissue healing remedies? We long for that time when committed investors in private and public sectors in this country will look inwards and start discovering as well as start harvesting all the potentials in the nation's herbal medicine industry. Then, and not until then, will the consumption of foreign herbal medicinal products drastically reduce. Then, West African countries in particular that are still grappling with economic woes will become more viable again because they will be utilizing the natural resources that God endowed them with, and correspondingly will be earning huge foreign exchange in return. Thank you for watching as you await our new online lecture series. Bye.